everybody, Chris Petri here. We're going to do some drawing. On my channel, I've kind of made it a point to start incorporating in some drawing tutorials here. And I guess the reason is when I was first really getting serious about going professional as a watercolor artist, I just knew I had to work on my drawing skills because, you know, I could see that my drawings, I was looking at other people on YouTube and looking at online pictures and paintings and things like that, researching artwork and watercolors especially. And I just noticed that the top pros had really great drawing skills, and I could see that mine were really, needed some work. So I just said, let me make it a point to spend about half of my time in my artwork and art journey working on drawing and the other half on painting. So, and I've also heard a number of really great artists, professional artists say that, especially in the beginning, when we're learning drawing and painting in watercolor, the drawing part is really, really, very important. So we would probably spend about half our time having sketchbooks and printer paper, whatever you have that you can put together, at any present moment. You want to try to get in your 10 or 15 minutes a day. So this is more, I at one point was doing a lot of work for my vehicle. I would be busy all day working at my job, and then I would leave sketchbooks in my car and pens and pencils as well. And then at the end of the day, I might stop, at the store before going home and maybe pick up some groceries or whatever, and I would just park somewhere, lock my doors, maybe in a parking lot, and I would draw things that I would see around the area. So I did a lot of architectural drawing, houses. This is a pool house in my town. The pool was actually closed for many years. It was like a public pool, and there was a pool house here, and it was kind of just dilapidated and plywood up on it and things, and sort of closed. So I parked across the street from there, or actually I parked in a parking lot right next to it, and I just did a quick drawing of it. So this is just one example. I did a lot of the architectural style. I really do enjoy drawing houses and buildings and things like that. It just always intrigued me, and so that's what I really found myself. I guess I'm drawing what I like a lot of times, what I really enjoy. Architecture. This is a local restaurant near my house, right down the road from me, maybe about 2 miles. It's a hamburger and hot dog restaurant, Riverview East. It's in actually the next town over, and they have a really wonderful, beautiful, retro architecture on this building where the restaurant is. So they have the angled walls and windows, all glass windows across the whole front of the building. Beautiful neon signs up here on top, Riverview East. So, I did these type of drawings as well, and I did the drawing of pencils and pens and apples, and I did a lot of small things, but I also worked on doing larger. This is a local highway trestle and bridge underneath the bridge that I grew up right close to here. There's railroad tracks behind this support for the bridge here for the highway, and then there's also right near my house, just literally 1/4 mile down the road from me, there's a great pizza place, Ray's Pizza. Maybe we'll do this one. And this is really kind of fun. It's I'm doing here a 2-dimensional drawing, so no angles really so much. A couple vehicles here. Maybe we'll do one vehicle. These vehicles are out of scale, so I can see that back then. This was in 2014. I think I had an issue there where I was making the cars a little bit smaller for the scale of the picture. But that's okay. I got the practice in anyway for cars and vehicles, so I was getting that completed, even though they're diminished quite a bit from the real true scale of what would be here. Or I did the drawing and actually just didn't quite make these large enough, but it's not a problem actually. We get our practice in, right? So even if your drawings are a little primitive looking, or if you have some problems with scale of things, no big deal. As long as you're kind of training your eye and your hand to draw. So you're training your eyes, your eyesight, your brain, and your hands when you're drawing, just to kind of get everything synced up together. And then that really works great just by the fact of practicing and doing these sketches like this. And they could be smaller things. Again, you could pick anything you like to draw: flowers, people, figures, buildings, architecture like this. Maybe you really enjoy cars and trucks and buses and, things like that. You could do a lot of those. They're plentiful everywhere, and you can work from magazines and pictures on your iPhone or whatever. But this is let's work from this and let's get started. And the first thing I'll do is just let me take this and kind of scale it over here on this paper so that we'll kind of have the same dimensions here, somewhat, not exact, but so I'll just take this here and transfer it over and just make a rectangle. This way we kind of see we have our rectangle about the same. And then I'll maybe do the same thing. I'll just actually transfer things over. So I'll just take my pencil and kind of go over like this. Put my finger there and say, okay, that's about where the bottom of the building is in the sidewalk. So I can make a light pencil sketch like so, just to I'm letting myself know I'm making a note here. This is the bottom of the building, the pizza parlor. And then maybe I'll do the same thing up here. I'll do the first section of the building, the lower roof. And I think actually behind this pizza restaurant is another building behind here. So that's another building back here. So this is the main building here. Let's kind of see what that is. We could just kind of go across like this with our pencil. Or if you want to scale it too, you can just put the pencil down here and then grab the pencil right where the bottom of the building is like that with our thumb. Or we could do it with our pointer finger like this, like that, and then hold the pencil like that. And put our finger down here, and we have a hash mark there, and then we know, okay, that's the bottom of the building and the top of the building, and that's it. It's really kind of simple. And then I'm going to lightly sketch this, and we'll go with pen on top. But I just want to get the building in, and we have to leave quite a bit of space here for a couple houses in the distance here that are around the block. So if you can imagine, there's the street here, and then down a ways this way, there's another street going this way, and those are the backs of those houses here. So we have the rear elevations or the rear portions of these houses on the next block over. So we're seeing that through this area here to the right of this pizza restaurant, and it's great. Excuse me, it's great because you have a beautiful feeling of three-dimensional quality in the picture, in this drawing, without actually getting really super advanced with a lot of angles. Just these little bit of angles here on these houses here. It gives us a real great feeling of three-dimensional quality. So it's kind of like if we put a few things in the picture that have some three-dimensional quality to it. Let's say the house over here in the distance, that gives us some really nice depth to the painting or the drawing. And then also too, if we do these light posts and lamps, that gives us a little bit of three-dimensional quality. We can see that the light post here is on the sidewalk, and then going back a little ways is the building. So that gives us some feeling of three-dimensional quality. So we can still incorporate some things in our drawing that can give us three-dimensional feel and quality, but at the same time, we're not trying to get too fancy with drawing difficult architectural drawings where there's a lot of three-dimensional design to it. So basically here, if you look at this, it's basically a rectangle. It's almost like a square, but elongated. That's pretty much a simple form, shape, like that. And then on top of this is the building behind, and that's here. And we'll just do that lightly, just so we have it, and then we'll go over this with pen. I'm just trying to get started so I have everything pretty much in the place we want it. And then over here, about halfway is the ground in the back round. Some trees. And then we have those houses back here. And some more trees. Just a few indications, so I kind of have... And we'll leave the maybe we'll leave the car over here. We'll put this car in maybe. It's a van actually. So maybe we'll just put this in lightly. And then over here, there's another building. Right to the left of this here is another building, so I'll just put that here like so. That's actually part of the pizza parlor, I believe. Or it could be the actual building behind. And we'll do that. And then maybe just a few more things here with our pencil, just to kind of get us set up so we can then go in and do our pen drawing. Does that make sense if we get a couple of these light pencil lines? And I'm hoping you can see these pencil lines. I think you can. They're light, but I'm working to try to get some of this information onto this page first. And then here we have the center of the building, the restaurant, and then the top, there's some changes in color on the front of the building, so that's lighter up here, darker brickwork down here. So it's a brick building with some stucco up top. And then we have the door. The front door here is it's in the center of the building, right in the center. And then there's the door. And then there's a canopy over the... And then there's two windows on either side, centered in the two squares. So if you can imagine, we're sectioning this off. So we have a square here with another smaller square, which is the door, and the center of the door like that. And then centered in these two squares over here. So we have a square here and a square here. Centered in these two squares are the windows, and then we'll just put those windows in, and the windows are even with the top of the door pretty much. Like that. And then over here. And then we have some canopies over these too, like this. Over the windows, like that. And I think that's good. I think we have everything. We could also do the car. Here we can maybe do the car a little larger. And I'm just gonna get some basic wheels and the shape of the car like that. Okay, so I redeemed myself. I made the car a little larger here, which looks better. Fits the scale of everything a little better. And we'll do a light post here, so that's sort of... Maybe we'll do it over here. We'll make it so that we can see the car. All right, as you can see, I've sketched out quite a bit of information. Now we'll do the pen drawing. We'll go right over the top with the pen. And you're going to have a lot of fun doing this, and I know you've been working on your drawing and your sketching, and I applaud you for that. And I'm sure you're already seeing that as you do 10, 15 minutes a day of drawing and sketching, no matter, even if you're starting out with stick figures, that's fine. Everyone starts out with stick figures in the beginning, and everyone starts out in the beginning drawing funny looking angles and funny looking faces, whatever it is you're drawing. I'll keep showing more of my sketchbooks, and you'll see that going back 10 years ago, I was, trying to keep working at my drawings. A lot of my drawings were off and they didn't look that great, but at the time I felt happy. I was just working at it, and that's all we have to do. Just enjoy the process. Everyone starts with the stick figures and doing funny looking drawings, and as you keep working at it, your brain and your hand are going to synchronize together, and see things more clearly, and you'll be able to see size and scale better as you work. So it's just the simple thing. The more you're going to practice your drawing and your sketching, and it can even be simple things like apples or pencils or a paintbrush on a table, just drawing a couple quick things, 10, 15 minutes a day, you will continually improve your drawing skills so that no matter what you're drawing, you're going to be able to see better. You're going to see all of your angles, your curves. You're going to see everything better, and you're going to be able to render it better with your pencil or your pen, or even when you're doing your paintings. So if that makes sense, doesn't matter what you're drawing in. I mean, yes, if you're drawing a lot of figures, you're going to absolutely get better at figure drawing, right? Like if you're doing just figures all the time and, doing like portraits and figures, you get a lot better at that if you're doing that and concentrating on that. But even if you're just doing drawings like this, which are just as beautiful, just different style, not that they're any less or anything like that, figure drawing, let's say, and portrait work's more challenging and it's a little more difficult, but this isn't easy either. This takes time. So no matter what you work on, I guess what I'm trying to say is whatever you're working on, whatever you like to draw and pencil draw and use pens and just keep doing your 10, 15 minutes a day and more if you have more time. And you'll just automatically get better at everything, because it's really about training your brain and your eyesight along with your motor skills, your hand, and you'll just automatically become better at whatever you're drawing. So if you have somebody that's done a ton of drawings like this, and then you start doing figure work, it's going to be easier doing figures and portraits because your eye is already trained to see things larger and smaller. And like here, you can see I had a harder time at this time seeing the scale of the car. My car's a lot smaller. It almost looks like a toy car sitting in front of the restaurant here. And over here too with the van. Now my eyesight's a little better. Going, 10 years later or 8 years later now, I can get a little more feel for what this would look like, the car sitting in front of a restaurant. So all I'm saying is you're always going to get a little better every time you're drawing and sketching. So I'm glad you're working on it all the time, and that's why I'm doing these drawings here, so we can work together, and we'll continue on with this. We'll take a break, and then we'll get started with the pen drawing of the restaurant. Okay, we are actually getting started now. We're going to do our pen drawing. And I'm using I use very simple office pens that I've picked up over the years at my local big box stores, where they have all the paper and printers and phones and pens and pencils, the supply stores. So this is I tend to like Uniball pens. I use a lot of different style Uniball pens. So anything by Uniball I would really say is great. They make the really fine point. This one's a little bit more of a medium point. This one's called Uniball Signo, Signo, and the exact pen is called an Impact 207. Impact, I-M-P-A-C-T, Impact 207. So that's right here on the pen, and Uniball Signo. It's got the retractable fountain pen, and it's got the rubber grip on it, which is great. It's comfortable to hold and draw with. It's got good traction, so that when you're holding it, it doesn't move around too much. So we're going to use this pen. We'll also use a China marker. So these China markers are really great for shading. So we'll use some China marker for shading. And of course we just use you can use any old pencil to sketch in your first preliminary sketch, we'll call that. A preliminary sketch to get sketch lines in, to transfer over your picture. So you can do this with pictures in a magazine, you can do this with something on your phone, your iPad, your laptop, your home computer. You can take things and just literally use a ruler if you have to, or you can even use a piece of paper like a business card. So if you're going to work with your computer, let's say, and you don't want to, you could just take your computer. Let's say this is a computer screen. You could take a business card and just say, okay, the building is this big on your computer screen, and then you come over to your paper and you just put your business card down here, or if you have and you just put a mark there. And then you can use this almost like a ruler, and you can just go around and it's easy to keep track of where your hash marks are on this. You just, this here, the top of the building, and you come over here and say, okay, that's the top, it's that high. And you can go around and get all your hash marks with your pencil first, doing it that way. You might say, oh, this building is approximately, well, let's do this. First one, so it's 1 business card here, and then put a little hash mark there, and then we remember where we had that spot there, and we say, okay, and then it's another about right there. Put a mark there. So that's all it is, transferring over. If you want to keep it the same size, if you want to enlarge it, then you would just double your scale if you want. That's just another video. We'll do another video on how to scale up these or scale down these type of drawings. But we'll keep going here, and we'll start out and we'll just do our pen drawing. So we'll start here. I'm going to start here and then start doing the and what I'm doing is this contour drawing basically. I'm just starting in one place and going around. I'm sketching right over the top actually with my pen. You can kind of see that. I'm just going right over with the pen my sketch lines. Once in a while I will adjust and say, okay, I need to go further here. The front tire needs to be closer to the front spoiler of the car, like this. So that's better. And then I can do the tires. And I'll do a shadow underneath the vehicle. Maybe I'll just detail a couple. The tires a little bit. Maybe I can do some spokes. And I try to just do these loosely, the spokes on the tires. And then maybe we'll have a couple of lines here. So this would be the door, like that. And we have to have the mirror on there. That always looks good, and you have to have that mirror on there. Really would look kind of strange without the mirror on there. Every car has mirrors on the sides by the door, so we have to have those there. I think that looks pretty good. And then we're going to come over here. We'll do the window. Like so. And I made the windows a little different, I think, on this side. We can change that, though. We'll go with the third window here. So there's 3 windows on this side, and there's 2 over here. That, and then we'll do the canopies, canvas canopies over here. There's one over the door, another one over this window, and what else? We'll do this here. This is the brickwork, and then the doorway here. So I'm slowly drawing around the picture. And you can go with as much detail or as little as you like when you're doing a drawing like this. You can just say, I'm going to keep it a real simple one line drawing, just one single line the whole way through. Or you can darken up lines on some of the windows. Like I did here, I sort of spent more time doing a little more detail to the windows and the doors and putting a little more detail into the drawing, but you could just as well keep it as simple. And you can use a ruler if you don't feel comfortable drawing I just have my hand resting on the paper, and then I hold the pen down on the paper and slide it. That's how I kind of get the lamp here. And the lamp is over here by the sidewalk, so let's draw our sidewalk in. And the sidewalk would be kind of thin. Like that. And we could put some lines on the sidewalk, and they kind of get they have angles as they go this way, the sidewalk. So they're straight here. This will be sort of where we're standing in perspective. If we're standing kind of sort of straight across from this door, we would see the lines on the sidewalk start to go out like this. So if we just do a little of that angle on the sidewalk, separation, expansion joints on the sidewalk. And I noticed here I do have a little more detail there on the sidewalk, but we could keep it like this. That looks fine. And let's see, we could do a... And don't worry if you have lines running through things. If you were to sit there and try to work out everything exactly in a pen drawing like this, it would take like 8 hours. I don't mind seeing lines going through things because, again, we're just practicing, having fun. Don't worry. Just have fun with this. Draw through things. Let lines go through other things. That doesn't matter. It's just we're practicing our drawing skills. That's the main thing. We're going to do some lamps over here. You can leave these for last if you want to, like these ornamentation in your drawings. You can do the lamps last if you want. The lights along the door, and then there's other lights over here too. Really nice restaurant. They have a beautiful design to their building here, and they have lots of lights on the front. Really beautiful, like, ornaments on the facade of the building, and the canopies look really nice. We'll shade these in with our China marker. And then over here we have a small vent for the kitchen areas. They have the vents. And then there's some other small things on the top of the rooftop here too as well. It's always kind of good to have, maybe there's some other vents, or there might be some storage up on top of the building where they store maybe some different things. So we'd see a little bit of things on top of this section of the roof here. It makes it a little interesting that there's something kind of interrupting just like a one single line like this on the top of the building, the restaurant here. It's kind of nice to have a couple little things, mystery type things on the top here, and like, you know, makes it look more interesting instead of just... And then here we're going to have our design of the brickwork on the building. It has some designs here, so we'll put those in like so across. You can keep it, again, more simple. Simplify things if you want. I'm going to keep it somewhat... I'm going to keep referring back to this here for the most part. I'm going to try to stick with this. Like that. This looks good, and then we have okay, we're going to have a van here. And I'll just do the van quickly. And we always have a dark shadow underneath the van. We're going to have some sunlight in this drawing, so I'll just take some dark shadowing for the car here, as well as the van. That always looks good. And then here we'll do a little bit of the trees over here, and then this house over here in the distance. And that's all, just the indication of a house over here and some bushes and trees in front of it, like this. And that's all we really, like that. A couple of windows over here, so not too much detail over here. Just a couple indications that we know it's a house over here, like that, in the distance. And then the other, there's maybe a fence here, so we could put some things like a fence there. And there's some more bushes over here maybe. A little bit of some shadowing there. So you can kind of create some interesting shapes and things of trees. And I had some trees over here. I'm going to maybe do like that. And I think that's plenty good enough that we have captured this beautiful restaurant here in my local town in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, Ray's Pizza. Great place for pizza. They have excellent Italian food and pizza here, and we always order from here constantly and stop by and pick up slices of pizza. So this is a great place. You can sit down. There's a restaurant inside, a really beautiful restaurant. And they put up in the summertime umbrellas in the front with tables. So this is a lot of fun and good memories for me here at Ray's Pizza. And I think we'll do some shading. Let's take a break though. We did a lot of work so far right now on the pen drawing, and you can kind of see we didn't get too. I didn't do as much detail, let's say, on this drawing. I kind of wanted to just simplify it a little bit. So that's what we did here. We simplified it, and I just made an adjustment and made my car a little larger here and the van a little larger over here, just so that we improved upon this drawing a little bit from when I did it the first time. And that's all. And that's all it is when we're drawing. You're trying to just improve a little bit every time. And if you notice something, you say, oh, I need to improve my straight lines when I'm drawing. So I'm going to practice those just on a separate piece of paper. Trying to draw a straight line, sliding your hand with the pen on the paper. You can do that on a separate piece of paper. You might just say, oh, I'm going to take a separate piece of printer paper, or even in your sketchbook, and just practicing, just trying to slide the hand so your hand's on the paper. You're working on a board or a tabletop, and you're just holding the pen on the paper lightly and just sliding your hand on the paper like that. And eventually, you just keep trying these. You try doing it. You try to keep the same thing, hand resting on the paper, sliding across, and you're just trying to get some straight lines going. At first you're going to be going off on angles like this, or your lines are going to look like this or like this. And then the more you're practicing, you're kind of getting the feel for it, and then you start to really, you'll be able to sort of just concentrate as you go, and you'll start to be able to control your lines better. And it's just all it is. If you practice it on a separate piece of paper here for maybe a couple months, just say, I'm going to do 1 or 2 pages of straight lines. And then you can practice doing them quickly. Same thing this way maybe. So you can have fun practicing doing straight lines, and that it really helps a lot doing our over here. This helps a lot. Maybe over here we're going to have a power pole, like so. And then maybe another one over here. We can pretend there's one here. So you can create more cool, interesting lines on our paper. Do some things like this. So you can add in some lines and power poles and telephone lines and things like that and have a great time of it. Okay, let's come back and do some shading and we'll be all completed, but you'll see how the shading is really going to look good. We're going to pretend we have some sunlight coming from here, so we make our little insignia. We always do our light, our spotlight insignia like that. Just letting ourselves know this is the light coming from this side of the picture across. Could be behind a little bit, could be in front. You adjust it accordingly, your light. And we'll continue on in just a minute. We're just going to take a quick break. Okay, we'll take a break if that's okay. And we'll start up in just a minute. All right, we are going to finish up now with our China marker and do some shading. And we did mention that we created our light insignia, which is a spotlight. And this way we know the light's coming from here. So we'll add in some interesting light effects here. And also some shading for maybe the variations in the building facade and maybe the car and some of the ground and things like that. So we'll try to replicate what we're seeing here for the most part. And we'll see how it goes. I think it'll turn out really nice. So first thing I'll do is maybe we'll do a shadow for the building here. And as I do the shadow for the building, I'm going to add some shadow to this. There's a planter pot there. And maybe there's a little more shadow there and some over here too, where this bush is here in the van. So we have all the ideas of shadowing starting to help us to feel like there's some sunlight in the picture here, and we have the building with a dark shadow here like this, and the light's coming from here. And I'm improvising a little bit, but I did have the shadow in this picture, so I'm trying to use this. When I was here on location drawing this and shading and everything, I did try to capture what I was seeing as far as the light and shade. And so I'm going to continue with that idea. There was now I can kind of see a little more clearly. There was a bit of a there was some shading on our, and again, don't worry about it if you add in some things as you go. You might see something you need to adjust or whatever. You can do that. And then maybe there's some shading underneath here, like so. Underneath the awnings, like that. Here I'm sort of improvising. I didn't create that shadow underneath the awnings in this. Again, it's fun to kind of do some different things when you're working on, like if you're working on something that you've already created and you're going to maybe do a second drawing of something, then maybe, you know, we can try some different ideas and see if they work out okay. The only thing is when you hear, if this makes sense, when I'm doing something, adding in shadows like this, it's much better if I'm working from really like a photograph where I'm actually on location, because sometimes shadows can be difficult. Sometimes we might think they're going to look a certain way or angle a certain way, and they may not. So, but I am kind of having the idea that the shadows are sort of kind of following the same direction as the light, like this, and then the shadowing under the car here would be like so. In front there too. And the car's going to be, we'll make the car with a little bit of color. So we'll shade that in. And I think we can do some shading for the brickwork here. So let's make this we'll shade in the building. Maybe we'll leave the windows the way they are. Maybe a little darker over here underneath. And this is brick too here. And if we want to get a feeling of brick, we can maybe add more lines like so. And then add some small vertical hash marks here and there, just a little bit here and there. It kind of gives it that feeling of brick. Like so. And we'll do some shadows over here on the van. Like that. Maybe a little bit of a line across here, just a little bit of a decorative band up there. And then over here we notice this is a little bit darker in tonal value, so let's get a little bit of shading back here on this building, which is behind. Same over here. So I'm just holding my hand, resting my hand on the paper on my table. Actually, I have a board underneath here, underneath my paper, and I rest my hand on the board, and then I just go back and forth horizontally. And then I can shade that way. You can shade vertically too, like so, to give like a different texture. Maybe in a few locations, just to make it look a little more interesting. And I'm just darkening this area under the windows. A couple of 45-degree angle small little lines like that can sometimes add a little mystery and seems to look a little more like reflections on the glass of the windows and the doors. And I think that's it. Maybe a little bit of shading over here too for the trees. And the trees, we get, they're lighter up top and darker down at the bottom here, the trees. More light is catching on the tops of the trees, so they get lighter at the top a little bit. And over here, the same thing. We can do some trees, shade in here. And I hope you're having a fun time trying this at home, in your studio, in your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, wherever you like to draw and paint. And you have a good time with this. Enjoy it. And enjoy the victory that you have in whatever spot comes out really good. If one part of the drawing comes out really good, focus on that and say, wow, that part came out really good. If you had a part of this that didn't come out so great, don't worry about it. Just say, hey, you know what? I need to work on maybe some of my angles or something. If your roof doesn't come out, the angles don't come out exactly the way you want to. Just you realize some of the parts of your drawing are going to come out better than others. No worries. And we'll get it on the next one. We're going to work on these all the time, so you'll always be getting better. Maybe there's another fence over here. All right, thanks so much. Oh, we could do a little cloud. Let's do some clouds here. Just an easy, beautiful couple of clouds in the sky going across. That can really add some peaceful and pleasant feelings if you have some clouds going across the sky, just like so. Just a little indication is all you need, like that. Maybe we'll darken this up a little bit here. Now the point is, don't overdo it. Like I'm not overdoing it here, but you might always think you're going to see some things you want to do, but try to keep it, keep it to a minimum. Once you're kind of finished with everything and you kind of feel like we're all right, we have everything good, just try to recall that we don't want to keep going over it, over and over with things. Just maybe I'm doing some of the road here and some of the pavement over here in the front, and there's maybe a bit of a sidewalk here too, like that. We'll color it. We'll make this a little darker. Maybe I'll do this with pen, just so I can kind of keep this looking the same. So I'm just doing some tonal values here, some dark and lights, kind of looking at everything and saying, all right, what can we do here to make it look better, and kind of maybe this can be a little bit all right, perfect. This is good. We could also darken up these windows here a little bit. That makes it look a little more realistic. Usually windows are darker. They're reflecting some of the trees, maybe some of the sky, but cars usually have a little tint on their windows. Usually darker around the tires. Tires are darker. There we go. Okay, that's perfect. Have a great time with this, and we're going to see you on the next video. And I always mention, if you enjoy doing the drawing videos here, when we're doing this sketchbook type work, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know you really enjoy these. And also, too, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. On the right-hand side below, there's a subscribe button. All that does is just YouTube will let you know when I make a new video, and you'll see that when you open up YouTube the next time. If I have a new video out, you'll see it. And if you subscribe, you can always go back into my archives, and I have hundreds and hundreds of tutorials on YouTube, so you can go back and just type in your favorite type of subject matter. If you like to do drawings, you can just type in Chris Petri drawings, and you'll find maybe 10, 20, 30 videos like this one. If you like to do some watercolor flowers, just type in Chris Petri flowers, and you'll see probably 50 or more videos on flowers and all the different techniques and different style flowers. And so all you have to do is just type my name and what subject matter you like. And you can also rest assured that most all my paintings that I do on YouTube, I'm always starting out with a drawing. So you'll see the drawing of each painting that I'm doing in pencil. We always pencil draw everything first. And this is just the next kind of step in the process if we're looking to focus more on drawing, to get our drawing skills a little better and, kind of get into the habit of just getting in some drawing every day. That's what we do. We'll do these type of videos so that we can all enjoy the drawing process and get more into that. and we're going to continue doing all of our watercolor paintings too as well. So glad you're coming by and joining along with us, and we're having a great time here. And again, have a wonderful time painting and drawing in watercolor. And also, if you enjoy this series of drawing, we're going to do plenty more, okay? So we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.